Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. This is again Dr. Muhammad Shafiq, your lecturer of philosophy, Department of Islamic and Pakistan Studies. The course I am teaching you this semester is called Introduction to Logic, and the course code is PHI 101. This is lecture number 2, and today we are going to discuss what are the different functions of philosophy. The outline of today's lecture consists upon, again, its introduction to philosophy, which consists upon scope of philosophy and functions of philosophy. When we know the scope of philosophy, we'll try to know what are the functions of philosophy. If you recall the previous lecture, we touched upon the scope of philosophy when we were trying to define and know the meaning of philosophy. As we know, philosophy is basically love for knowledge or love for wisdom. And this love for knowledge or love for wisdom gets us more and more closer to the reality of everything or anything in this universe, including man himself. So the scope of philosophy is as broad as human mind. God created man different from all other species. And you know what? What is the difference between man or human being? By man, obviously, I mean both men and women. Or generally, we use the term man in philosophy for human being. So, man is created different from all other species. And why he is different? What makes him different? And if we look into our religious tradition, in Islamic tradition, man is considered to be the superior species of all, even angels. That would be surprising because angels are the creature of God which is very close to him. Then why man has been given preference? Why he is considered to be superior? What is that special quality in man which makes him superior than any other species of this world or even beyond this world? If these were only material things like eating, sleeping, having reproduction, etc., that is what we share with all other species. The only thing which is particular to human being is intellect, its mind, its thinking. And that thinking makes human being superior. And now you can think about it. If thinking or if using your brains, if using your mind, intellect, makes you or me superior to other species, that would mean that not using our intellect or our mind would degrade us from the status of a superior species, and that would bring us down to the status of all other species if we believe only in eating, sleeping, and reproducing. So using our mind or using our intellect basically makes us superior. This faculty is peculiar to human being, and it has not been given even to angels. And this intellect or this faculty of thinking equips man or human being with something which is not available to all other species, and that is decision making on on your thinking, on your knowledge, on based on your knowledge which has been acquired through intellect. So the scope of philosophy is as wide, as broad as human thinking or human intellect. And that's what makes functions of philosophy very much important. So thinking and using your intellect to acquire knowledge is basic function of philosophy. Now philosophy is basically an attempt to search for the reality. What is reality? What kind of reality? Perhaps when you look around you, you find different objects, you find different people, you find different things, you find different species, and so on and so forth. It starts from tiny little things to huge and big things such as stars, such as our universe. So to search for the reality basically is to search for the reality of everything, and that reality could be of universe, that reality could be of knowledge. So what do we mean by universe first? The universe basically has two aspects: physical or material and metaphysical. Perhaps this term might be new for you, metaphysical, but we'll discuss it later on in detail. For the time being, I just want you to concentrate. There are two aspects of the universe: the aspect which we see physically, just like we see different species in this world, um, different plants, different people, objects, and different stars. All these things which are included in our universe, and we are trying to acquire the knowledge that would be taking us closer to the reality of universe. For example, if I want to know the reality of a piece of paper, where does paper comes from? Or probably, uh, let's make it more simple. If I try to know the reality of a chair, so where does chair come from? Chair is obviously made of wood. Where does wood come from? Obviously, wood comes from trees. And where does tree come from? Tree comes from the earth. It is grown from the earth. And what is the reality of earth? The reality of earth is that earth is a part of our solar system. It's a planet in our solar system on which we are living. And then it takes us to try to dig out the reality of the solar system. And we come to know that there are different planets on our solar system. There is sun, there is moon, there's other things, other stars. And this solar system is part of a bigger plan. There are so many stars. If you look into the sky, there are so many galaxies, and so on and so forth. So all these things, objects, right from the tiny little chair to the reality of black holes or to the reality of the whole universe, that is basically the gift of philosophy. All human knowledge, all human discoveries, all inventions are indebted to philosophy. Why? Because philosophy equips man to ask questions, and once you ask questions, then you'll try to find answers, and that is how step by step you get closer to the reality. So this is one of the function of philosophy, to know the reality. So the reality could be of universe. Also, reality could be of knowledge itself. What is knowledge? We always talk about knowledge. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is so and so. Knowledge is this and that. But hang on a minute. What is knowledge itself? What is the reality of knowledge? That is also a part of philosophy. And philosophy tries to dig out basically the reality of knowledge itself. This would be discussed later on when we will try to study a branch of philosophy which is called epistemology in great detail. But for the time being, you just keep in your mind that we are trying to know the reality of universe as well as the reality of knowledge, and this is one of the functions of philosophy. Basically, philosophy has twofold nature or two basic functions. The first one is obviously to know the reality, and the second one is as important as the first one, and that is try to know, try to devise good rules of life, or sorry, try to devise certain rules to live a good life. Obviously, we have been sent to this world. Now we have to live here. When we are living here, we need to discover, we need to devise those rules and principles which would make this life good for us, this life more convenient for us. But hang on a minute, what does good life mean? If you remember, in the first lecture, I raised certain questions such as what is life about? For some people, life is dull, it is full of crises, it is name of despair, it is absurd, meaningless, it is name of disease, hunger. While for some people, life is beautiful, life is meaningful, it's colorful, it's good, life is good. Why? Because they are having good times of life. Now, what is good life? That is another aspect or another function of philosophy. Try to discover what is good life. And all the branches of human knowledge and all the sciences and all the rules and all the principles which are governing this world, which we have made, which we have discovered, they are also highly indebted to philosophy. Why? Because this is philosophy which raises this question, what is life, and then what is good life? And in order to make life more and more good, we have been discovering, we have been inventing, we have been making different rules and principles. We have been basically evolving, and all this evolution of human life to become more and more good and convenient owes to philosophy again, because all these rules, principles which makes our lives good and convenient are based upon knowledge or based upon those truths which we have discovered. So, to cut it short, there are two basic functions of philosophy: to know the reality and to devise certain rules and principles in order to live a good life on this earth. Now, it brings us to another question, that what is the relation of philosophy with other subjects? If philosophy, in other words, covers these two basic functions, then what is its relation with other sciences or other subjects? Basically, to begin with, all human knowledge was a whole. There were no bifurcation or no branches of knowledge. But as human beings try to get more and more knowledge, and the knowledge increased, man basically divided this knowledge into different parts or different branches for his own convenience. And then he started giving names to these different branches of knowledge. For example, if we look into the history of philosophy, Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers, has written extensively on every aspect of human life and human knowledge. So when he was writing about physics or physical bodies, he called it first philosophy. So to begin with, all the knowledge was called philosophy, and then as soon as the knowledge got increased, man actually tried to divide it into different branches. So they named all the knowledge about matter and energy or physical bodies and their relationship. They named it physics just for their convenience. Similarly, all the knowledge about life, how life came into being, how it is evolving, what are the different aspects, that was given the name of biology because it's about life. And then further bifurcated because the increase of knowledge made it more difficult. So man, for his convenience, divided it further, like life about animals or animal life is called zoology, while the life of plants and the study of plants were named botany. And then further divided, like study of tiny little lives of microbes is called microbiology. So all the subjects, all the branches of knowledge, they are basically interrelated with each other, but when we focus on any particular aspect of knowledge, we just name it for our own convenience. So no matter we are studying botany, mathematics, sociology, economics, journalism, religion, or anything, we are doing philosophy in a broader concept because it's all about knowledge. So this knowledge, this getting close to reality, equips us with certain tools through which we can make our lives good. That is how we have made our life good. For example, in the history, if we look, man has suffered different diseases, for example, such as malaria or other pandemics, cholera. And this was the knowledge, this was the research which made human being able to come up with different medication to treat these diseases. And once those diseases which were considered to be monsters, now very usual things in our lives, such as malaria or cholera, you can say. And this knowledge, it was knowledge and it was getting closer to reality, which made us discover these medications. And these medications made our lives good, convenient. Similarly, if you look into technology, uh, probably about 20, 30 odd years back, we couldn't even imagine that we would be able to talk and see live someone sitting 5, 6,000 miles away from us. This convenience is due to the technology advancement, and the technology advancement owes to the increase of knowledge. And knowledge is basically the subject matter of philosophy. So, in a way, we can say that all human life and its advancement owes big time to philosophy. So these are the functions of philosophy: to know the reality and then to make our life good. So we needed certain principles and we needed certain rules to make this life good, and that is why we made certain moral principles, we made certain other laws such as legal systems, constitutions, traffic laws, etc., etc. All these are basically tend to make our lives good, our lives more convenient. So again, these are the books which I would recommend you to get hold of, because as soon as we move forward, you will need more and more these books. And also, don't forget to ask questions if you have any. Just get in touch with me through WhatsApp or through any other means such as email, etc. And I will be more than happy to answer your questions. So that is it for today, and thank you very much. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you and goodbye.